What's on the menu? We have a Dwarven Feast with Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance. Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance is a third-person action role-playing game published by Wizards of the Coast and developed by its subsidiary, Took Games. I believe that's how you pronunciate it. It was released in June 22 this year, and let's hit the table and find out what people think. Let's start with Russ. With your purple shirt over there. Russ, what's your thoughts?
Well, you know what? Let's see here. What do I think? I don't know that I think anything. I want to think a lot about it. I want to really, really enjoy it, but I don't know what to think about it. It's not a terrible game. It's not a great game to me. It's got some opportunity, but then again, it is kind of the first in this genre of dungeon crawling, multiplayer co-op games. I'll get into a little bit more of it later. I do want to let everybody know I played Drizzt, which was the ranger. They say ranger, but he's actually a rogue, basically. But I'm not saying I dislike this game. I'm just saying I'm still on the fence a little bit with this game. It's got a lot of RPG elements to it. It's got some upgrading your characters to it. Those are things that I always enjoy in games, some kind of progression. But there are a few things with the game that need to be fixed, but we'll get into that later. First impression, honestly, I can't believe I'm saying it, but I still am not sure what I think. So let's go to Nick and find out what he thinks.
Yeah, I think this game is okay. It's got a lot of bugs in this game. There's a lot of issues with, just playing it generally in combat and various things like that, and environmental and hitboxes and stuff have a lot of problems that need to be fixed. It's an all right game. I kind of miss the old Baldur's Gate, the old Dark Alliance games back on PlayStation, Dark Alliance 1 and 2. Those were more of an isometric camera angle, and those were really fun. I really enjoyed those, and I was hoping this would be more in line with that, which this is more like a kind of over the shoulder view or a third person view of your characters. And I don't know, it's an all right game. It's an okay game. I do like the leveling up and you buy feats and moves, and you can get you go through the dungeon or whatever, and then you collect resources and armor pieces and stuff like that, and you get them all at the end, and then you can go and equip them all and stuff, and they look all right. I do like the fact that, and we'll probably get more into it, but you can change like the skins on them, which is kind of nice. You can kind of shape them how you want your character to look, by you have to pay for that, which is not very much money, which you get gold throughout the dungeons as well. So ultimately, I think the technical issues of this game is really what holds it back primarily. It just has a lot of technical issues that need to be ironed out. Other than that, I think the game is pretty fun overall. I think it's a pretty fun game. It's not like spectacular dungeon crawling RPG. It's not the worst dungeon crawling RPG I've played, but it's just okay. It's kind of the middle of the road for me on this one. But Patrick, what did you think of Dark Alliance?
So before we move on, Nick, who and what did you play?
Oh, I played the, I don't remember his name. He was the fighter.
Played Wolfgar.
Yeah, Wolfgar. That's right.
Wolfgar,
yeah, the 80s
the
rock
barbarian.
Band. Wolfgar.
Yeah. The barbarian.
The barbarian with the hammer is who I played.
Yep. And I played Brunar Battlehammer, the dwarf fighter, basically the tank, and I would agree with everybody here. It's a very flawed game for its, and I don't know if it's the multiplayer that causes it to be flawed, but I didn't play the single player portion of it at all. I played just the multiplayer, and it's very much flawed. And I would agree with Nick. I think that's what drags it down, because the combat's kind of fun. It's got some cool mechanics, and It's got, team attacks that can be triggered differently by each character. So, each character has a different set of attacks or a different set of things that will trigger a team attack. So if you attack a certain way, then the other members of your team can kind of pile on and do extra damage to the enemy. But the game has a lot of flaws, which hurts it. I mean, because when we played in the very beginning, we kind of steamrolled the first level just because of the leveling system, which is bugged. And then, we had some issues just bumping it up a couple of more levels that we'll get into. But, I'm on the same way as you guys. I like it because it scratches that co-op itch, but it is very flawed, and we end up fighting a lot of issues because it's flawed, which makes it lose some of that luster. Shane, what do you think, man? What do you think there, Shane?
Sorry. I liked it a lot more than you guys, I think. Definitely technical issues, bad ones. I played as Caddy Bree. She's a fighter. Basically, she is a ranger. They call her a fighter. She's a ranger. I like the character. And that might be why, because my character is primarily stay back and just pop shots. The game does falter its biggest issues with those bugs. I mean, just finishing a level, it boots you out of the game. It gives you your score, gives you your bonuses, whatnot, and then instead of putting you back into your party area, it shoots you back to the main menu. It's like every freaking time. Luckily, the new consoles, Series X we're playing on, it's fast to reload, but it's stupid and annoying, and it should not be something they released with, period. I mean, that's just annoyingly bad. But overall, I enjoy the game. I like the combat. I like the way my character, I can't judge everybody else's, but I like the way my character played. Russ had issues with the hitboxes. I didn't have issues because 85% of what I was doing was ranged. So the only time I would get up close and personal is, with some of my special moves, I had to get a little tight with. I think I agree with Nick. I do miss the older stuff a bit, but I like what they've done. They just got to fix the technical issues. The game's not bad looking at all. It played tight to me, but when you have bugs that do stupid crap like put you back in the main menu or disconnects, that's just uncalled for. But that's just my opinion. So what's one thing that you guys were happy with? I mean, that's pretty cool, because I have a few things that I thought were really interesting and enjoyed. Is there anything that you guys thought, well, that's pretty cool the way they did it, or anything?
I think you're going to find just the middle of the road here, because I mean, this game doesn't do anything well. It doesn't do anything great. It doesn't do anything bad. It's very middle of the road. I mean, every class has like 5 sets of armor. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's what you're going to get. At least that's what it seems like in the beginning. And I don't think it's going to change. You have your lightning armor, you have just different armor sets, and there's not going to be a whole lot. There's a lot more than I'm thinking. I think there's like 12 sets for each or something like that. And you just get pieces of them as you go through, and at the early stages, I'm not holding on to anything. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just swapping out what I get. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just grabbing the highest item level. And, I don't care if it's a lightning set or the Goblin Bane or the Battle Hammer set or whatever, it's just, I'm swapping out. I think the game has a lot more things that I would recommend they fix than things that I would say are great about it. The team, it doesn't really give you a whole lot. And here's what I'll say. It doesn't give you a whole lot of information on how to trigger the team attacks, but you just got to go online, because it doesn't tell you any of that stuff. But if you go online, it'll tell you how to trigger it with each character, So, and that teaches you, because that's that pop up in the Xbox that you see, what was it, like XB or YB or something like that would pop up, and you're like, okay, I got to attack this. I have a lot of quality of life improvement things I think the game should do, but I'm just not going to bogart all the time. Anybody else want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I think, one of the things so I did play a single player portion, and I didn't single player. I didn't seem to have as much problems as we did multiplayer. There wasn't a lot of rubber banding going on because we did experience that quite a bit with the enemies. And for me, being up close attacker as well, I ran into the same issue with hitboxes as Russ did, and I think Patrick did the same. Where, even in the single player, I ran into this a couple times too, where an enemy attacks and they're pretty far away from you, and they still get the hit off, right? And they're doing a melee attack; they're not doing any sort of projectiles or anything like that. And it just seems like, I don't know if the information, from the game in the server, maybe on multiplayer, thinks that you're there when you're actually further away, and so therefore you get hit, or if there's just something wrong with the hitboxes. I did run into it a little bit on the single player, but it didn't seem to be as present as it was on the multiplayer, and rubber banding seemed to be non-existent. So it does seem like the multiplayer portion seems to be a problem with a lot of those technical issues we ran into when it comes to that. When it comes to those issues. This game, again, it is okay. And the one thing I don't like about it, and what I seem to have noticed, and I don't know if you guys notice the same thing, is even when those team attacks come up, or, the game has a block and parry option. What it doesn't seem like it allows you to do, though, is it didn't seem like there was a cancel. So, and what I mean by that is if your character's in mid-animation and an enemy's going to come and attack you, if you hit block or parry, it doesn't cancel that and say, okay, now I'm going into this, which is helpful in a lot of games to be able to cancel that out and go into a block or parry. So if if you're in mid-swing and stuff like that, you have to wait for that animation to finish. So even though I like the block and parry options, it almost feels like you can't just kick those off when you want to. It's almost like you have to have this thought of, okay, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do that. I'm going to block and I'm going to parry. Because if it's a quick reaction to say, okay, I'm going to hit the button to block or parry, you can't, because it won't cancel animation. You're too busy swinging, and the swing animation or whatever type of animation you're doing takes so long that the character, or the enemy in this case, can just smack you upside the head, and you can't block or parry it because it doesn't cancel that animation out. So it would be nice if they had an ability to, or if they were to change that in essence for this game, to cancel those animations and say, okay, we're canceling that and going into a block or parry. I think it would have been a lot more fun and a lot more easier, because I feel like the game, even though it has those mechanics, it's really just going in swinging. Right. I mean, that's really the kind of the idea of the game. They have a block and a parry mechanic, but unless you know you're going to use those, or know that you're going into this situation utilizing a block or parry, you're just going and swinging, and half the time you're not going to get a block or a parry off, and you'll probably end up succeeding in the fight, but you're going to lose a lot of health doing so, or you might get downed.
Well, I think that's part of the problem too, is that this game is not designed to be a hack and slash game. It's supposed to be tactical. You're supposed to go in and watch for those telegraphs and do the parry, the perfect block, which does the parry, so that, because everybody's team attack kicks off a parry, and then everybody has a secondary team attack. Like mine's the exhausted execute, and yours, Nick, is the empowered strikes, and Russ is the backstab, and then Shane's is the last hit on aimed arrow, killing the enemy with aimed arrow. It triggers that. And so you have to play tactically, because as you've probably seen, if you just go in there swinging your hammer, it takes forever to kill an enemy, even a lower level mob, unless everybody's beating on him and basically just sticks him in the corner and beats the crap out of him so he can't run anywhere. This game is meant to be tactical in that sense, where it wants you to block. And I think, and that's just me because I've not read anything on it, I think it's intentional that if you're running in there and you're in a big swing and the monster's swinging, you're not just going to be like, oh, stop and dodge or stop and block. You can dodge any time, but the block doesn't block while you're in mid animation. I think it's because the game was designed to be more tactical than hack and slash.
Well, that's where Lions, like for me, I would do that. So let's say we were in a boss fight, and we've been in a couple of them where we'd have mobs come in. I would disengage from the boss and go kill mobs. And I got to the point where I was starting to parry and then destroy because I noticed that, hey, if I go running after them and just start going slash, 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 it does take me twice as long. But if I go in, wait just a second, let them swing parry, I would wipe them out very quickly. So I would go clean up the floor and then I'd come back to the boss. But wherein lies the intrinsic, the problem is like to initiate those things. Like, for example, for mine, I'd have to be behind the boss. So, and I'm waiting for Patrick to block, or because Patrick was playing our tank for the most part. Well, the problem with that is that the hitboxes, or if it was a server issue or whatever it was, Patrick is enabled to get those initiations off because he's trying to time stuff or whatever, and we're just all unleashing all of our abilities on him anyway. So it's really tough to do that. I think that's where the problem is with the game, is that, like, for example, when we're fighting something in any other game, and it does so many things that are so like so many other games. This is the only reason why I'm saying this or comparing it to other games. If it wants to be different, fine. But in this case, whereas if you have a blockable, like, for example, not every attack on a boss is blockable. Well, then give them a purple highlight, give them a red highlight, whatever it is. There's no highlight. Now, on some attacks, they have a rare back and go. Well, they're raring back. Me and Nick are rolling out, and both of us are hitting halfway across the map because we're like, wait a second, we're out of that. So maybe that is some of that server, but how hard it was to engage some of those attacks between our group is what was the frustrating, because I think that's something we all talked about right when we were going in. Oh my gosh, it's got these team attacks. I think I saw 3 of them in the whole time that we played in 2 days. And so whether that's our gameplay or because of hitboxes, I don't know. But hence the reason why I think that's the problem with the game, is that there's no clear cut definer on what's blockable, what's not, what's, and so forth.
Right. And I would say that's what we ran into is, especially on bosses, is they would just rubber band like crazy. Like they would be facing me and get to do like a rare up animation. Next thing I know, they're facing everybody else. And I'm like, and he just hit everybody that was behind him. I'm like, dude, he was rearing up and facing me to go towards me. And I'm like, how the hell did he just spin around? Or he would be up on me and then he would just rubber band over to somebody else. And you're like, what just happened? Where did he go? So, yeah. I mean, it does seem really hard to get off the perfect parries on the dodge, which is the perfect parry. If you block at the right exact time, that's the perfect parry. And everybody keys off that, but everybody has a secondary one. But yeah, it seemed almost impossible because I'd be ready waiting for the boss because I'd see him rear up and I'm like, all right, here it comes. And then as soon as I go to block, he's like facing the other direction and hitting everybody else. And I'm like, all right, that's what I would say gets in the way, is that is the biggest issue, I would say, in my opinion, is that there's too many multiplayer lag issues that prevent this game from being tactical the way it's trying to be and not a hack and slash. So we end up having a hack and slash to try to steamroll through it, is what we end up doing in this game. That's why I think it's middle of the road. If they can fix that, I think it'll be a great game for us.
I agree. The technical problems, if they get that fixed, one thing they need to do for the co-op part is do a co-op training map mission or something where it, teaches the group how to do the parries and all that stuff together to do your team attacks. I wish they would have done that. I know you can, they have a tutorial stuff in the single player, but, I think they should do that for a multiplayer thing, let the group go in together, especially, a team that plays together like us really should be, should have a training mode like that, I think. But, one thing everybody's kind of, gnarling on it here, but one thing I really did enjoy was the maps and the, searching for loot and everything. It wasn't just run A to B, there was exploration, and I really enjoyed that. Some of it was kind of inventive. Some of it was, turn around and throw, there's a chest behind you or something, but I really enjoyed the maps. I thought they were interesting. I like the trap portions where we were trying to get to a chest, but you got to, dodge all the traps and blah, blah, blah. I really enjoyed that part. But there is a lot, I think, positive to be said about the game, but The technical failures on it is what's really holding it down. If they fix it, I mean, I think the four of us can have a damn good time.
Well, again, you have a game that isn't trying to make itself too different. And so, like, for example, and I think we kind of go back on what Patrick was saying just a little bit, like you have a holy trinity in a sense made for you. And so, like, for example, Shane's special ability was a heal. But Patrick really, I don't know, did you have any taunts, Patrick?
You have one, and it's a big ability. It's a LB ability.
Yeah. So I mean, they're going to build a game that wants you to be tactical, but it doesn't give you the abilities to. I mean, how do you? I mean, beyond taunting everything, how are you building up hate? I mean, it's that's the frustration about it a little bit. Is that, I mean, am I looking for a classic MMO feel with this game? No, but you have to give us as a fan base, a player base, some way to control some of those things, especially if we're having those rubber band issues and everything like that. So, I mean, it's like I said, it's middle of the road game, but it does have a chance if they do some improvements to become really good.
Right. I would say Shane's thing that he liked the most was one of the most annoying things for me, because you would be off like scouting around looking for crap, and next thing you know, the half the party's over here and the other half is over there, and they're like, hey, I got a chest with loot, and you're like, where the hell is these guys? And you got to run around and find them, and you're like, hey, I got loot over here too. And so now if you don't go pick it up, you don't get it. And that to me is the stupidest thing, is if if it's a group-based game, let one person loot it and everybody get it. Because what I really noticed it in was the fragments. Like when you break open the rock, like I would notice that if Shane was not there or Nick wasn't there and I picked it up and me and Russ picked it up, at the end of the game, I would notice that I had more shards and fragments than they did because they didn't get to it. And it seemed like if you didn't get to it within a certain amount of time, it was gone anyway. And I noticed that a lot.
I believe the person who breaks it and creates the fragment actually gets more. I noticed that a few times, that because I broke quite a few on one map and I ended up with a crap load. I had like 7 legendary ones at the end. So I think that might be part of it too. But
then we didn't get any legendaries.
Yeah, you guys didn't get squat off of that.
Right.
Yeah.
I never got a single legendary shard. All of our runs, everybody else got at least, I'm not saying every time, but I think even Pat got at least one legendary shard. I got none after all was said and done. So it's weird how that works.
I got quite a few.
Nick got like 12 of them one time.
No, I didn't get any legendaries.
No, he didn't get squat.
No, we're talking about armor. We're talking about the shards.
I didn't get a single legendary anything. Not even shards, nothing. I didn't. No legendaries dropped for me whatsoever that entire time we played. So I didn't get a legendary armor piece or a legendary shard. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me personally, I think this game would have been better off as a hack and slash. It could definitely be a tactical game like they want it to be, but it's right now. I don't think it's quite there for that. And I think me personally, I would have preferred more of it just a hack and slash.
So you feel it's closer
RPG.
to the hack and slash than the tactical?
At the moment, yes. I would prefer more of a hack and slash. So if they got rid of the tactical components and made it a hack and slash, I would prefer that more for this game. The tactical stuff is interesting, but it doesn't work well. And so until they fix that, right now, what is it? It's kind of a hybrid of both in a sense, which doesn't work well.
That's strange, because I would like the tactical portion of it.
I would like I'd like it to be a tactical too, but I agree that it can't be a tactical right now. It doesn't have the fine-tuned controls to be a tactical. There's too much rubber banding. As you said before, the hitbox of the enemy is just insane. Like you would be way outside of their range. Like I couldn't hit them if I spit at them, but yet they're swinging and hitting me and I'm halfway across the map from them. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And what it hurts too is that I'm supposed to be the tank. And I'm like, we fought a couple of enemies that I could barely take a hit from. I took one hit and I'm like, oh my God, I'm almost out of health. And it's like a hit you can't block. And I'm like, well, I can't roll out of there fast enough to get away from them. Being a short dwarf that I am, I'm supposed to just be standing there taking the beating and then, absorbing it and blocking it and all that kind of stuff. But it's weird. I don't think that this game, I would like for it to be one or the other. I would probably lean more preferring it to be a tactical where I tank and everybody else just beats it down and we all, play like a regular MMO style game with it. But if it's going to be one way or the other, it needs to go that way. But I mean, I think this would stay in our repertoire for a while. I mean, hopefully they get better and fix the bugs like any game, but I don't know how much longer we could take the bug. But I think we'll leave this one in our rotation for a while anyway.
I would agree. I didn't experience a lot of the issues with the rubber bandings you guys had. And I wonder if it is because just a proximity thing that I stayed back, quite a bit compared to you guys. So I wonder if that was part of the reason I didn't have the rubber banding issues that you all had. But I agree. It'll definitely stay in the repertoire. I think every time it gets a patch, we'll have to pop it on just to see what's fixed and how well it plays now. Because I enjoyed it. I did. Technical issues aside, I did enjoy the game. I mean, I wouldn't pay $60 for it though. I would right now. I would say this is a solid $30 game. It's something you expect for a $30. A lot of promise. Just issues that need to be corrected.
Cool. I mean, it's pretty much just, it's a D&D style game. You have light attacks, heavy attacks, you have blocks, you have dodges. I mean, and there's 4 classes, and eventually there's going to be an expansion that adds more classes at some point. I can't remember. I don't remember if they even said what the name of the expansion was going to be. I think they've already announced what it was going to be. Echoes of the Blood War. That's what it is. I just found it. I was looking through my notes. Echoes of the Blood War is supposed to add more characters eventually. I do hope they fix it though. I would like to play some more of this. We played, I don't know how much we played, but we played it through almost 2 entire dungeon sets as a group.
I think we stopped just short.
We stopped just short of the last boss, I think, on the last one that we were doing. So definitely I want to keep it in our rotation and try it some more. But I really want them to fix the bugs because I don't like staying in a fight as the tank, as I'm supposed to do, and taking and absorbing the damage and deflecting and stuff like that, but I can't do that in this current thing. Or there's no way for me to hold the aggro unless I use my taunt, and then once that's over, I don't get to use it till it recharges, and it takes quite a few battles to recharge.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a $30 game. I agree with Shane on that. And it might have sounded like I was poo-pooing a little bit. I don't mind the game. It's actually a pretty fairly decent co-op game compared to what we've had released recently, and 4 people can play it. So it's got that going for it. And I like my little character. I like that little, mine is actually considered a ranger, but it plays like a rogue. And I kind of like that. And I love to dual wield and kind of go ballistic on mobs. So it lends to my play style for sure.
Cool. Yep. I would agree. It's a sale game for me too. If I had to buy it full price, just because of the bug. Honestly, I think if it was more tighter controls, it'd probably be a full price game for me, but too many things that I don't like about this game, such as the loot, the way the group loot works. It doesn't work. I should say there's no such thing as group loot. You have to loot everything yourself or you don't get it at the end of the game. So if you're running in a pug group online, I guarantee there's a lot of times they're not telling you they found a chest, whereas we're group of friends and we're like, hey, I got a chest over here and I'll stand by it till you come to. Most people online aren't going to do that. They're just going to open the chest and move on and not tell you they found one, So who knows? Hopefully they fix the issues. Anybody else got some parting words for this one or something they didn't like they need to fix? Anybody else got any bugs they need to fix they want to bring up?
No, I think the next expansion should be Patch of the Broken.
Well, cool. Well, like I said, sale game from us. Nick, full price or sale price for you?
Game Pass.
Lucky it was on Game Pass, so you wouldn't get it all, huh? Even if it was on sale.
I don't know. It's an okay game. And I'll still play it, with everybody and everything like that. It's just it has a lot of problems. Like we said, it's trying to be. I feel like it's trying to be 2 different things. It's trying to be a tactical and a hack and slash at the same time, and they're just not working together. So, like you said, Pat, pick one side and go with that. Like I don't care which side you pick, just pick one and let's do that.
there's another feather in the hat for Game Pass for us because it definitely helps us out play more games. You know, we didn't have to pay for this one, just part of our subscription. Cool. So, all right. Well, I think I need to go pull the extra chicken and meat out of my beard from this one, from the feast we just had. So I guess hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we hope you catch you in the next one.
See ya.